Hey, everybody, I'm Tim with Higher Life, and today I'm talking with author Welton James about his book, Weltonisms. The real purpose of this conversation is for you to get a heart and insight behind this book so that you can find wisdom, motivation, inspiration from this man right here. So, Welton, thank you so much for being with me today.
It is indeed my pleasure. Absolutely. Okay.
So, tell us a little bit about your book, Weltonisms.
Weltonism came about as a result of urging from a lot of different people over a 30-year period. Uh, I worked at a former hotel casino in Atlantic City, and I used to do seminars. I had a unique way of expressing myself, and people coined the term Weltonisms to describe that. But people would constantly say to me, "You should write a book." And my godmother urged me to start writing some of these things down because I didn't realize how often they were coming out of my mouth. Plus, I had a tendency to repeat things that I had heard. So I started to write them down. And then a pastor recently asked me to do an interview. And at the end of that interview, he laughed and said, "You should write a book." My response to him was, "I've been writing that book for 30 years. But his response to me was, "I have a publisher." And he introduced me to Higher Life. And we talked a little bit about the purpose of the book and what it was that I hoped to accomplish. And the book actually came to fruition.
That's fantastic. So what would you say? Obviously, people were telling you to write this book and to get this out here. What was your primary motivation? What were you hoping? What are you hoping to impact people with this?
First of all, it's a positive book. This is how I consider the book. There's a whole book in the Bible called Proverbs, and it is a way of encouraging people, but at the same time giving them a message in a unique way. In parables, everybody don't always get it. All right. My goal was to teach people a little bit about self-responsibility, but not chastise them, but give it to them in a manner in which they could digest it, maybe have a little chuckle along, but it would stick with them. And that's how my grandmother used to pass information on to me. It was always a way without chastising me, but it was sometimes, it would even rhyme, and it would be things that I would always remember.
That's beautiful and fantastic. Who would you say is your intended audience for this? Obviously, you hope everybody can read this, but is there specific people that you think this will help the most with, or you're hoping to target and reach with?
As I think about it, and again, there's so many different people that I'm hoping that we reach, but I kind of want to reach me uh, in today's society. I was a little boy that grew up in a Christian home, so things were always given to me in terms of advice for responsibility, self-assuredness, and things of this sort. There's still a child out there right now. He may be a young man or young woman in their middle stages of teenage years or early adulthood, that they have been told things to encourage them for responsibility and so on. And I'm kind of hoping that this really resounds with that particular group among all others.
That's great. What's one thing, as we kind of close out talking about this, what's one piece of advice or wisdom? There's a lot of it in this book, but something that you think is important to share with anybody who's watching right now.
Well, I tell you, the book was originally supposed to be called "You Trust Your Mother, but You Still Count Your Change." Okay. Well, that kind of capsulizes a lot about what my message is. It has nothing to do with a mother, and it has very little to do with change. What the message is that you cannot delegate the responsibility of your life to someone else. You are responsible for your behavior and your attitude and for your effort. So, we can blame other people, or we can put things on other people. And there's a message in there. Well, sure, you trust your mother, but that's no excuse for not counting your change. So we're talking about self-responsibility, self-reliance. Okay. Of course, one is too small a number to be significant. We need our maker to be involved in our life, absolutely. However, on the day-to-day, okay, you are responsible for how you perform. You're responsible for what you think, how you act, and who you spend your time with.
Absolutely. Well, Welton, thank you so much for spending time with me today. And I think everybody should pick up this book. You've gotten a lot of great feedback from it and a lot of insight from people, and they've been really excited about it. And I think everyone who's watching this should read it too. So thank you for being with me today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure. And one little bit of advice: if somebody tells you have a nice day, don't say you too. When someone says have a nice day, you say, I promise.